Once upon a time, in a village at the edge of a deep dark wood, there lived a poor family consisting of a man, his wife, and 2 children. The wife had a son and daughter from a previous marriage, Hansel and Gretel. Now, unfortunately, she didn't love her stepchildren very much and wanted to get rid of them. She told her husband that he had to abandon the kids in the forest, because she could not bear it anymore. The man was deeply saddened by this, but he loved his wife more than his own children, so he did as he was told. He took them out into the forest, far away from their home and all familiar sights. Then laid them down under a tree and said, "I'm sorry, my children, but I have to leave you here. Don't move from this spot. Wait for me and I will return as soon as I can." The children were frightened and began crying, but their father did not comfort them, for he, too, was shedding tears. He embraced them one last time and then returned home, promising to come back for them in 2 days. And with that, he left them alone in the woods. Now, Hansel and Gretel felt completely hopeless. They just laid there sobbing until the sun went down and darkness covered the entire forest. All the wild animals stared at them with glowing eyes, but none dared to approach them. When the moon rose high above the trees, Hansel said to his sister, "Get up, Gretel, it's time for us to go. We can't stay here all night." But she answered, "No, I'm too frightened. Let's wait until sunrise and then we'll go home." Then they both stayed silent again, listening to the crickets chirping in the bushes and the owls hooting in the trees. After a while, they heard some footsteps approaching them. A deer was bounding closer and closer until it stood right in front of them. Its eyes sparkled like gold coins and its antlers glistened in the moonlight. The deer spoke to the children. "Why are you spending the night in the forest? Go follow me and I will show you a place where you can hide." Then it turned around and disappeared into the thicket. Hansel and Gretel looked at each other, unsure if they should follow him or not. But in the end, they decided to trust the kind deer and went after him. It led them to a small opening where some dry leaves were piled up. Hansel and Gretel crawled into the heap and fell asleep. When the first rays of sunshine touched their faces, they woke up and crawled out of the leaves. But to their horror, they realized that they couldn't find the deer anywhere. Then they heard the sound of bells ringing and drums beating, so they started walking in the direction of the noise. Soon they came across a path and followed it deeper into the woods. After a while, the sound of the music grew louder and louder. And when they finally reached the source, their jaws dropped in amazement. In front of them stood a house made entirely of bread, cakes, and sweets. From the windows, they could see golden sugar plums dancing around while chocolate fountains flowed over the windowsills. Cakes and cookies lined the walls, and gingerbread men marched up and down the stairs. Excited, the children ran towards the house and began eating the cakes and biscuits. But suddenly, the door creaked open and an old woman appeared. She was terribly ugly. Her nose was long and crooked, her eyes glittered like golden coins, and her mouth was full of sharp teeth. The children were so scared that they stopped eating and hid behind a bush. The old woman noticed them and shouted, "Who's hiding there? Come out, I won't hurt you." Then she started walking towards the bush, and when she was close enough, Hansel said to her, "Please don't eat us." The old woman asked them what they were doing in her garden, and they told her everything. She invited them inside the house and gave them plenty of delicious food and wine to drink, and before they knew it, they were fast asleep. In reality, the old woman was a terrible witch, and she had laid a spell on the children, lulling them into a deep sleep. She carried them into her bedroom and locked them behind a wardrobe. When Hansel woke up, he found himself tied to a chair. Soon, Gretel woke up too, and the witch approached them with a sinister smile on her face. "You look healthy and strong," she said, "and since I haven't eaten for a few days, I think I will start with you tomorrow morning." She cackled loudly, then exited the room. The children were horrified, and Hansel started struggling against his bonds. "Quick, Gretel, bite off the rope and help me free myself." But she couldn't do anything because the witch had also tied her to a bed with a special sleeping spell. However, the witch forgot to tie up the bed properly, and Gretel managed to free herself from her bonds. Then she went over to Hansel, but his ropes were too thick for her to bite through. Suddenly, she remembered that the witch had given them wine to drink the night before, and she knew that the bottle must still be in the corner. She crawled over to it, bit off the cork, and splashed the wine over her brother's face. This broke the sleeping spell immediately, and Hansel freed himself from the ropes. Then they both ran away from the witch as fast as they could. They searched for the exit, but no matter where they went, they kept coming back to the bedroom. Finally, they found a small keyhole, and Hansel used a hairpin from Gretel's hair to unlock the door. When they stepped out into the hallway, they saw a staircase leading up into the darkness. They started climbing, and when they reached the top, they could finally see the daylight. Overjoyed, they jumped out of the window and landed safely on the soft grass. They searched for the path that would lead them home, but they couldn't remember which way they had come. Just when they had lost all hope, they heard a familiar voice calling out, "Hansel, Gretel." It was their father. He had been looking for them all over the forest, and had just found their abandoned clothes under the tree. When he saw the children standing in front of him, he hugged them tightly and never wanted to let go again. Hansel and Gretel also felt very happy to be reunited with their father. They all walked back together, hand in hand, and when they reached the edge of the woods, they could see their house in the distance. However, the children didn't want to go back there. They had suffered enough and now only wanted to be with their father. He understood their feelings and took them to his new home. There, they all lived happily ever after, far away from the wicked stepmother and the witch. The children often told people about their adventures, but nobody believed them. And even today, no one knows what would have happened to Hansel and Gretel if they had met the talking deer that led them to the witch's house. Some believe that they would have died and become the witch's supper. Others say they would have escaped and lived out their lives in the forest. But we may never know for sure.